Life coaching, executive coaching, career coaching, business coaching, ADHD coaching. Coaching is a booming industry right now. There's so much and it's so new. So I'm here to tell you what coaching is and also what to avoid. Before we jump into this, my name is Lee and I am a leadership coach, and I specialise in leadership coaching for people who are neurodivergent. And for me, it's particularly important that we get this right for the neurodivergent community, because coaching done wrong can actually be especially damaging for people who are neurodivergent. So I've mentioned leadership coaching a few times in my videos, and that's what I trained in doing, but I'm conscious that I haven't really got into what it is or how it works. So this video is going to be a bit of an educational, what is leadership coaching, and then I'm going to follow up with a video on how to find a good coach, what to ask about that in a part 2 to this video. Part of the ambiguity around coaching is that coaching is quite a generic term that's not really defined, and as a result of that, no one really knows what coaching is. People can be both speaking about coaching but mean two very different things. It's also a completely unregulated industry. You don't need to have a qualification to call yourself a coach. There's nothing saying that you need to. So it can be really confusing to know what good coaching is and what to look out for. Part of the problem comes from where coaching evolved from as well. So originally when you think of coaching, you think of maybe sports coaching, which is when an instructor tells you what to do to get better at your sport. And actually that is where the term evolved from. But I use the word evolved because it's changed over time from that original thought. These thoughts were first formalised in Timothy Galloway's book, The Inner Game of Tennis, where he talks about how he moved from coaching in the sense of telling people what to do to looking at mindset, to asking questions, to helping his charges develop in a way that isn't just hit the ball in the right way at the right time. And this kind of laid the foundation or the underpinning of what coaching is today. And while the coaching profession nowadays follows that lens, in most people's minds they're still thinking about the sports coach and the more instructor or mentor role that they take on. And as I alluded to earlier, this is further compounded by the fact that anyone can call themselves a coach, whether they do the kind of coaching that I'm talking about, or whether they teach you how to kick a ball or how to run at a faster speed. And if you wanted to call yourself a coach and start a coaching business, you can. No one's going to stop you. No one needs to give you permission. I'm not saying you should, but there's no one stopping you from doing so. So it's unsurprising that there's so much confusion around the term and what it means given that scenario. So it could be two different people offering coaching services that are actually very different things. And in many cases, they're looking more at the former, where they instruct you and tell you what to do. But as Timothy Galloway's book suggests, that's not actually the most effective way to get the best out of someone, by just telling them what to do. And in fact, it can be particularly damaging if you are neurodivergent. I know the amount of times I felt like a failure because someone has told me, just do this and your business will be fine. Everything will work for you if you just follow these steps. It hasn't worked for me, and I've taken that as my personal failing. So with that in mind, the best way I like to describe coaching is to actually talk about what it's not with two other counterexamples. So I've mentioned it's not telling people what to do, that is instructing or educating. My next point is that it's not mentoring. Now, mentoring is someone giving advice to you based on their experiences, what they've learned in their life, and I'm not saying that mentoring is a bad thing. I think that mentoring has a lot of specific use cases, and I've always had mentors and always people that I've gone to that have given me support. But it does have its drawbacks. The reason being, if you're looking for general advice, maybe rather than a specific situation, or if it's a situation with some ambiguity, then just because someone has good advice doesn't mean it's going to be good for you. I spoke about this a little bit in my first video. You can click up here if you'd like to see it. But basically the point of that comes down to, they are not you, they have not lived your life. Even if they're in the same career path as you, doing the same things you want to do, but are maybe 5 years ahead. 5 years ago was before a global pandemic. The environment has changed completely. So their advice might be good advice, but it might not be good advice for you given the circumstances you're in and who you are. Coaching is not mentoring, it's not giving advice, it's not telling you what to do. But if you require one of those two services, then absolutely go find someone to do that. They're not bad things, it's just not what coaching is. The other thing I want to talk about is coaching is not therapy. We are not licensed in psychology or therapy or, trauma specialism or anything like that. We are not qualified to do any of that. And so if you have something that's really trauma related or a real kind of mental health struggle that is better served by a therapist, then you should absolutely go to a therapist over a coach. And in fact, I've had coaching relationships that I've had to put on pause because my coachee needed therapy, and that was okay, and they went and got it, and we resumed again when they were in a better place. As a coach, I have to be really clear on where that boundary is, and I might have to say to my coachee, hey, I think we might need to pause this here so you can go get some help from someone who's qualified to specifically deal with that. That's not to say I can't help with things like self-doubt or feeling low, but when you cross that line into something that's better treated in therapy, you absolutely should go to therapy. And one of the ways in which I like to compare the two is that therapy is looking back at your past and where you came from with the goal of healing, of feeling a lot better in your present. Whereas coaching, we might take a little peek to the past, but we won't stay there. We'll mainly look at your present, where you are, and work out how you can grow forwards from there. So with that in mind, coaching is not instructing or teaching, coaching is not mentoring, and coaching is not therapy. So what is it? And I've pulled up the ICF definition here. So if you don't know what the ICF is, they stand for the International Coaching Federation, and they license coaches and coach training schools all over the world. So the ICF say, coaching is partnering with clients in a thought-provoking and creative process that inspires them to maximize their personal and professional potential. The process of coaching often unlocks previously untapped sources of imagination, productivity, and leadership. And the word I want to pick up on here is partnering. We are working together. We are working together to widen your perspective, to think of new ways of approaching things, to maybe challenge things that are assumed true already. But we acknowledge that you are the expert in you. So it is very much a partnership, a cooperation, and we ask questions to build up your experience to get you to grow where you need to be. And this can be really powerful. In fact, I remember quite early on in my coaching practice having a client who she wasn't sure if she wanted to go for a promotion or not. And so going into this conversation, there was a lot of her trying to work it out, thinking, do I even want this promotion? Should I just be happy where I am? People have told me maybe I should just be happy where I am and stop striving. There were a whole host of things going through her mind and confidence issues. And we explored that concept. We explored the concept of being satisfied with where you are versus where you actually want to go to. We looked at it from different perspectives. And in the end, I remember her saying to me, you know what, Lee, I do want this promotion. I really want this promotion, and I'm not afraid to go after it. It's important to me. I walked away from that session feeling like I'd changed someone's life. She told me later that my coaching was so impactful to her. It's the power we had of just spending that hour together, talking it through, viewing it from different directions, looking at tools and strategies and ways of thinking about this, got her to the point where she was so much more confident and secure to go and pursue this promotion that she'd almost written herself off from at the beginning of the hour. Since then, I've coached a wide variety of people and topics and conversations. I've coached some stuff that's really hard and really heavy and really emotional as well, because even though I work in the leadership space, a person is not an isolated person who they are at work. They are a whole person. They have full and rich lives. And so in order to service them better, we can't just isolate them in work mode. We need to understand what's going on with them and meet them where they are regardless of what's going on in their life. This form of coaching where we respond to the whole person is even more important when you come across someone with ADHD, autism, Tourette's syndrome, dyslexia, dyspraxia, and so on and so forth. If someone is neurodivergent, they've been told their whole lives that they're doing something wrong, and every time they feel bad about themselves. It's like the example I gave earlier about joining a coaching program telling me how to do this particular aspect of my business, but it didn't work for me and I felt so bad about myself. And so we have to be extra careful when we are coaching people who are neurodivergent to make sure that we are nurturing them in the way that they want to go, in a way that works for them, instead of trying to impose rules that we think should work for them. Because a mentor might tell an autistic person, you need to come across more confident, you need to make eye contact more. That's what I did. I made sure I trained my eye contact, and people love that. Which completely ignores the fact that eye contact can be something that's super hard when someone is autistic, and is just the wrong piece of advice to give that person. They might tell someone with Tourette's syndrome that, I understand your tics are something you can't control, but you should just try extra hard in this job interview to not let them come through. Oof. Yeah, that's not good. On a personal level, I've been pushed to do stuff that my ADHD just won't let me do because the emotional cost or the executive function is just too high on that particular day. And so I've gone from feeling bad because I was having a bad day to feeling twice as bad because I didn't do the thing that they were trying to get me to do. But a good coach doesn't do that. A good coach might ask you for accountability, but if you're not there that day, or you can't get that thing done, a good coach is not going to push you. A good coach is going to ask you what would work for you, what would your next step be, what is achievable, what does accountability look like, what would make you feel good about having done this, because all these things are responding to that person and working in a realm that works for them. A good coach as well might suggest strategies, not tell you what to do, but offer them up as something that you might like or you might find useful or you might enjoy, and you can try them on and you can see if they fit. And if they don't fit, then a good coach says, okay, no worries, let's try something else. A good coach doesn't tell you what to do. They don't guide, they don't offer their own opinions, because you are the expert in you and they are there to partner with you on that journey, but it is your journey. On that note, I'm actually going to bring this video to a close. We've talked so far about what coaching is and what coaching isn't as well, so you know what to look out for when you're in a conversation about coaching. I understand there's probably a lot of questions to talk about how to find a good coach, how to make sure that you vibe with the person and that they are a good fit for you. So I'm going to do a follow-up video talking about what to look out for, what kind of questions to ask on that. But for now, I'm going to leave it at that one. If you like this video, let me know in the comments or with a little thumbs up. I've done lots of other videos around neurodiversity and leadership, and I recently did one about ADHD and strength, which you might want to check out. Otherwise, hit the subscribe button so you can see part 2. Thank you very much for your time and attention today, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.